Hello, everyone, and welcome to what I hope is a wonderful Tuesday for you all. Hopefully this hour is going to make your Tuesday even better. We're very excited that you're joining us here today. My name is Ashley Grigg. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for the High Point Market Authority. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We're going to be talking about the ins and outs of High Point Market and how you can use it to better your business and you can learn to work it even better. We've got the pros here today. They're going to be giving you their tips and insights. Of course, first tip I'm going to give to you, if you haven't marked your calendar yet for fall market, it's coming up October 16th through the 20th. Registration is now open. So that's the first tip. Go ahead and go to highpointmarket.org and get registered. Also, if you have questions throughout today's session, we're going to be throwing a lot of information your way. Make sure that you use that Q&A tab so that you can submit your questions that way. We're going to be looking to get to those in the end, and I will drop the registration link in our chat tab, and we'll look for your Q&As over in the Q&A tab. So make sure you keep those separate, but we're here to inspire, to inform, to connect, and we're happy you're joining us here today. To lead us in this discussion, we have the always fabulous Jane Dagmi, Editor-in-Chief of Designers Today. Jane, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ashley. It's always a pleasure to work with High Point Market Authority, and I'm so excited to be here with Christy Davis and Don Ricardo Massenburg talking about High Point Market, which I have been coming to since the early 1990s. Before we get started talking about the down and dirty of how to get around High Point Market and what to do, I'm going to introduce these fabulous designers, and I have some notes, so I'm going to read it. First, Christy Davis. Christy found her design business, Christy Davis Interiors, in 2013, and she's based in Columbia, South Carolina. With childhood dreams of becoming a Broadway star and then a broadcaster, a babysitting gig for a decorator mom changed all of that, and she went to school at University of Georgia for interior design, cut her teeth with some other firms, and then opened up her own business. She does both residential and commercial projects. One of the largest and most meaningful projects that she collaborated on and recently completed is Camp Cole, which is the first campsite facility in South Carolina that is universally designed for children and adults with special needs and challenges. The camp hosted its first campers this summer. Christy also participated in the Kaleidoscope Project show house up in the Berkshires in the spring. And I was so happy to see you there, Christy, and your room was fabulous. So welcome. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Don Ricardo, you and I have had a lot of FaceTime recently, and it always gives me a pleasure to talk about you. So Don Ricardo Massenburg, AKA Mr. Incredible, AKA the Bedroom King, found his design business, Design Incredible, in 2017. Legend has it that Don Ricardo discovered his talent for decorating when he was a kindergarten teacher, living on a teacher's salary, and friends and family booed and awed over what he did with his own place. In 2012, still working in education, he was furloughed from his job at the University of Greensboro, North Carolina, and he started making headboards on his kitchen island, and he was selling them a lot. Mm-hmm. Today, he's got a load of luxe residential projects, and he recently finished designing a selfie museum in Raleigh. He is the program director at the Alliance of Interior Designers, a member of the Black Interior Designers Network, and was recently made the design chair of High Point by Design. And he still maintains a dual career in education and research. This fall at High Point Market, he will debut a few of his furniture designs at Trove Furniture. So welcome, Don Ricardo.
Thank you so much. You always make me sound amazing.
It's fun. It's fun to learn about you guys and have the opportunity to do that. So I thought saying you're going to introduce some furniture at Trove High Point Market is the perfect segue into our discussion about High Point. So my first question to you is, do you remember your first visit to market? Did anyone take you under their wing, and how did it go? So Christy, do you want to start?
Sure. My first market was the fall after I graduated college for a designer back in Houston. It was my first job. And we actually had digital cameras back then. So we had to take pictures of the products. We wrote it down in notebooks where now, we can use our handy dandy cell phones and wrote down the clients' names. And that's kind of the way it was, a very much a working trip. So we had a list of our clients, what they needed, what we were looking for, space plans, furniture plans, all of that itemized by the room. And that's kind of how we did it. So we shopped and we planned it according towards location of High Point, because High Point Market is huge. And so it just was, by planning it that way, we were able to make the most of our time. So I did have someone kind of guide me for a few years. It was great.
And just first impression of getting to market and seeing like the giganticness of it all, what was that like?
It was very much overwhelming. And we see a lot in our industry and we're used to seeing a lot. But at first I was like, oh my God, there's so many different vendors. How do you know which vendors to choose from? And how do you have time to pick new vendors and go see new vendors? But it was awesome. And it was great to, be with one designer, and then she knew several designers that were there, and we could all kind of get together and talk about at the end of the day what our favorite was, what our least favorite was, what was most comfortable, and that. And then it was nice because we went with a big group. And we all ranged of height and size. So we could say, this is good for a tall person, this is good for a short person, a big person, a small person. So that was great too. So
that's so fun. That's a great tip. Go around with people of different sizes.
Yes.
Write that down, everybody. Okay. Don Ricardo, so tell me about your first market and what was it like? And did somebody take you around or what happened?
It was crazy. I remember parking at the mall and hopping on the shuttle and thinking how beautiful, that they took the scenic route. And so we passed by High Point University and I was like, that is a very beautiful campus. And then once we got downtown, I was totally overwhelmed. I was going to Design Campus to see Kelly Ellis. And so I was tunnel vision focused on the blonde mohawk and red lipstick. And I walked in Philip's collection. She was there. And I was like, oh my God, you're a celebrity, so it was surreal. It was very overwhelming. And I had a friend who I was meeting there. She was traveling from Virginia. She had some issues getting into market. And so by the time she was there, able to get there, I had done the thing with Kelly Ellis. I had seen so many beautiful pieces and I was trying to teach her how to get around IHFC. So it was an amazing time for sure. Later that night, we went to Surya. We were sourcing carpet and it was very late and there may have been some drinks and a DJ. A party, right? And I just remember leaving that event and coming outside and it was like a ghost town. And I was like, what is going on? This cannot be the same place that we were, so yeah, a good time for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. Yeah. You go in, if you stay too long and you come out and,
right.
At a certain time, it's like, what happened to everybody? All right.
But it'll change, right? Soon, hopefully that'll change, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All the nightclubs that are popping up. No, all the after hours places. All right. So let's talk, plan of attack. It's a giant market. You're both busy designers. Preparation for market. How do you start? Like October is upon us. So what are you doing now in preparation for October market? Christy?
I've already started contacting reps and reps have already started contacting me, scheduling appointments, especially now is more important because of COVID. Some showrooms are being a little bit more stricter with all of that. They won't see you unless you have an appointment with a rep or a rep's assistant. It used to be where you could just go in to all of them at any time that you wanted to, but with COVID, it's changed a little bit. And I'm sure it'll eventually get back, our fingers crossed, to the way that it was. But I like to plan and schedule with my reps, or I also plan by location and High Point. So there's the Hamilton Wren district, there's IHFC in the Showplace area district, and then you've got the suites at Market Square, and then you've got the ones off the beaten path, like Theodore Alexander and Chaddock Home. So, but I like to plan my days accordingly so that I can optimize my time again, because that's key. And then I use the bus system to get around, because it's a lot of walking, your feet hurt. What about you, Ricardo? Don?
So the time we're in now is a lot of emails from showrooms and representatives. And so I'm sifting through those emails now in hopes to reach out and find vendors who are shipping, who are not, and it's tough. Just because of the times we're in, there's a lot of delays, supply chain stuff. And so I'm really reaching out for, places that are off the beaten path, places that I haven't used before, who are maybe local, who are saying they have things in stock and things can come in. And so my planning for this market is a little bit different than before, because I'm really attempting to fulfill some orders that have been just waiting, So other than that, I'm always using the My Market app. And so I've got my market planned before I get there. I have all my events scheduled. I have the showrooms that I want to go see. And that My Market app has been just an amazing tool for me. The first time I went, I didn't have it. The second time I went, I didn't have it. And maybe the third time I went, I didn't have it. And then a friend of mine was like, hey, are you not using the My Market app? And then I realized, it's going to show me the showroom. It's going to show me how to get there and their hours and everything. And so I just click, it tells me what shuttle to hop on. And that's how I do it. So
I want to take one step back here, because market, there's so much offered, right? There's education, social activities and networking, and then product, right? I mean, product is why we've all been coming there since the beginning. And then as markets gotten and grown, we add on the education and the social component. So where does it fall between product, education, and social? Like, are you 1/3, 1/3, 1/3? Are you half product? How do those three things sort of take up your market pie chart?
I'm a little different than Christy, because we talked about this before. Like, I have this plan and I have this schedule, and then I get there and everybody wants to take a picture and everybody wants to pull me this way, and I love it, and so I do it. And so I would say it's all, there's CEUs there are people that I want to hear speak in panels, and then of course I want to see product, and then I want to take a selfie with some friends. And so I would like to say that I'm equally divided, but I kind of lean more towards taking selfies and hugging and
Go with the flow.
And I'm so close to High Point, and so that's one thing. Like, I'm so close, so I can come and stay the entire time. But the people who are there, a lot of them I know from social media, and so it's just like twice a year that I get to see these people. And so it's really important to me to shake their hands and hug them and say, hey, you're real. So yeah. Christy, what about you?
I would say it's 2/3 product. I do get my selfies, but they're normally like in the hallway as we're walking past. It's like, oh my God, hey, let's take a quick pic and go, kind of thing. But sometimes I see friends in the showroom, so that's great. And we'll kind of walk together for a minute, talk and catch up. Then it would be more, and then I kind of go social and then CEUs. I do try to get to some of those as best I can. I usually do the ones that are kind of in the later part of the day, or between like dinner time, like I would say like 3 and 6. And then I love to do the social dinners when I can, invites, or if we see a friend, sometimes we're like, hey, we're going to go to Smella's tonight. You want to come with, we can add you to the list, or, that kind of a thing. But I do love seeing everybody. I get really sad when I don't see a lot of my friends, but I do try to, I'm the one that's like, oh, I have an appointment in 5 minutes. I got to run. I'll see you. But I live for seeing my friends at market, because you're right. You only see them twice a year a lot of the times. And we really do make deep connections in this community. And that's what I love about our community too. So
you mentioned that you're making appointments with your reps and that they are emailing you. So I want to address people that have not been to market, that are newer designers that might not, and I'm not a designer, so please guide me here, but how do you even begin the process? So like, say, between the magazines that you get, going online, looking at the style spotters, all the stuff that you get and see what's at High Point Market. How do you start? Like, how should somebody, if they've never been here, get an appointment with a rep? How do you do that?
I would say, well, I'll mention something that we talked about before. The three of us were talking, and Christy mentioned a vendor that I hadn't used before. And so, spending time around people who share your same passion, names come up. And that's why it's so important that we need to surround ourselves with other people who love furniture and everything High Point. So she mentioned the showroom, and I hadn't heard of them. And so I reached out. I went online. I love the product. And I just clicked and said, hey, I'm interested in an account. I'm interested to set an appointment for High Point Market. And so once you reach out to that vendor, they'll find out your location, and then they'll put you in contact with that representative. And from there, the representatives are normally really eager to get in contact with you and say, hey, we'll be here at market. These are our times, set up an appointment, and they're really encouraging appointments right now. So it's just really easy to go, to a website, put in an application for an account or just an inquiry, and they'll reach out to you.
So that sounds very easy.
Very easy.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they kind of tell you what some accounts are opening order minimums, maybe it's just one order. And so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into before you go, and if it's feasible and attainable to open those accounts.
Right.
Good. And Don Ricardo, with you right now, checking stock and availability and kind of making a list, if I followed you correctly, about, where you're best, you're more likely to be able to see an order follow through. How are you, is that how you're going to that's how you're going to build your schedule in terms of manufacturers? Yeah,
absolutely. And then, the last two markets, I've just been asking, what is stock like? And a lot of them, we're at 90% or we're good, or, and so I've just been kind of leading with that.
Mm-hmm.
What stock? This is beautiful. Can I really get it? So.
Yeah. Do you, when you, after you start to pull information from sites, from your reps and emails, are you creating a physical list? Are you keeping everything in your market app? Where do you keep your organized plans?
For me, oh yeah, I have a binder, and then I have a working doc on the computer of all my accounts, passwords, and people ask me all the time. And then a wonderful designer in Texas has this PDF of 800 pages, and everybody probably knows what I'm talking about. But when you think about, if you say, I need lamps, she has it. And so I'll just add that to my list. And so super important to be connected in the industry, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I do an Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
That's that I've based it off of years past.
Yeah.
And bring umbrellas, guys, because it never fails. It always rains. And you just pray to God your day at the IHFC is the rainy day.
Right. Well, the last time it rained, it was like High Point was so prepared. They brought out boxes of umbrellas and everybody had one. And I'm like, this place is awesome. They're ready. Anything.
You're right. No, yes. And then I do use my market app too. Like Don Ricardo said, people tell you about vendors that you don't really know about, and you're like, okay, I'll look up where they're located on that, and then I'll put it on my list. And I print it out, and then I also have it on my computer so that I can update it on the computer, so I'll have it for next year. But then I have it written down to while I'm physically there with my stuff that I need.
Right.
So I always have this plan that when I'm doing a day in showrooms, that I'm going to go back to the hotel that evening and add everything to that spreadsheet. And here are the pictures. But I always end up having to do it when I get back. But definitely, take pictures if they have some sort of leave behind. or some sort of one pager that you can take with you. Take that, and then once you get back, go through it, and add everything to your spreadsheet. And it's awesome to be able to do that.
I definitely want to talk about sort of staying organized when you're in the throes of market. But one thing we did touch on, but for people that might not be that familiar, because it's interesting. Like I took some people around market. I took them during the first Tuesday Designer Wednesday HPXD week. I took some people who had been to market, who I've seen at the Style Spotters breakfast. I took them to a few of the outliers, right? That are open. And this was a side of market that they hadn't really known. They know market as IHFC, right? So, I think that the districts that, Christy, you touched on this, attacking market by geography. I'd love to explain just a little bit briefly for those who are just joining. There are these like defined districts, and there are maps and really great signage all around market of the different showrooms that belong in the districts. And there are bus routes that have you both taken buses around?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
I bust that sucker.
I have not, and I'm a fool. I am a fool. How easy is it?
It's so easy. That red line is my life.
So where does it, red line is kind of, it hits all your spots?
Red line, I believe, if memory serves correct, hits a good bit of the main bulk. And then you've got green. I think green line's a little bit more secluded in its little district, but red line will take you from Hamilton Red up to the Sweets at Market. They're not the Sweets, but the Market Square side, which you can get to Sweets at Market Square. It's just the opposite. It's the other side of the building, but you got to walk through, which can be confusing for newbies. And then it can kind of take you, the red line, I think, also takes you to what French Heritage, which is an outlier. Let's see where else. And then it takes you to IHFC, which is like the main, everybody knows that, High Point is.
Right.
And of course,
IHFC.
from there are the Go Anywhere shuttles.
Go
So
Anywhere.
basically for a bus, and if you want one of these buses on the lines, you just stand at one of the bus stops and it
Yes.
comes and you get on and you get off wherever you want, right?
Correct. You just have to know your.
Always somebody telling you what the next stop is.
Yes.
And she'll name the showrooms that are at the next stop. But you mentioned Go Anywhere, and those have been what I've been doing every market. You get on, it's a smaller vehicle, and you just tell them where you want to go, and they take you. And so
Yeah.
that's just been awesome for me using the Go Anywhere shuttle.
Key is to get that phone number though.
So
Absolutely.
the Go Anywhere, yeah, they'll put it in. So you call, if you don't see it right there on the corner or somewhere, you call up. So, okay,
Right.
these are details I need to get to, because I have to say, I love walking when it's beautiful weather and you always bump into people, but it is foolish to not take advantage of the transportation that High Point Market Authority has created,
I was going to ask you what you had been doing, because it seems like everywhere I am, if there's something going on, you're there taking notes, for the magazine. And so how are you getting around?
Foolishly, I am walking and not planning. I am learning a lot too, because to plan early and get those districts, because it's really, there's so much ground to cover. And if you're going to walk and be out on the street, definitely, plan the districts. That's really helpful. Are there certain districts that you save for? We all know it's good to go inside on a rainy day, but in terms of like areas that are known for certain best days of market, do you have any associations like that?
Days of market.
I usually do the antique before, at the very, very beginning. 'Cause you gotta go in, because they're gone. All the good stuff's gone if you don't do it like the very first day or the day before it starts.
Do you usually come to market before the official days?
Yes, I do.
So tell me, what do you do?
I come in on like the day before, maybe 2 days before, and hit up the antiques first. I do Antique Center, and I'll also sometimes, if I have time, I'll go to Greensboro and do some of their antique shops. But Schwung is one that's an outlier that a lot of designers don't know about, and that's an antique And then they also have some reproductions, but it's mainly antique, and you can't take pictures in that showroom. They don't allow it. But they have great pieces, from accessories to really awesome furniture. And then I'll do from there. So showrooms are still kind of setting up, but I like to either go from there to like modern history, because they have really wonderful art. Michael Beaver just collects some of the best art all over the world, and he has some antiques in there as well. So I get to kind of see his new stuff, which I love, but then I get to see some one of a kind original art and antiques, and I have bought several paintings from his showroom. So I kind of do like the little outlier baby things. You can do 214 modern. That's another outlier. And then I tend to do a few that I think will be open and allow you in. And then I start the next day ground running, like by district.
Don Ricardo, do you
Yeah.
go early?
Okay. I'll stop by all of my go-tos that I know will do cash and carry and things like in the suites. And so I'll go through there and take a look at what they have, and I'll go ahead and say, hey, I want this and this and this, and I'll be back with my van on the last day, to go ahead and get a sticker on some of the things I want. So very similar to what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, yes, market is 5 official days, but many designers come early to hit the one of a kinds. And also, as I'm sure you find, there are showrooms that will take you through, and your reps may be there early, and it just gives a little bit more time to cover it. So are you, being that you're both drivable to market, are you both stay over during market? Yes.
Yes.
And do you do hotels or Airbnbs or rent a house? What's your mode of preference?
I usually do a hotel in Greensboro, but this year I'm trying a house for the first time. So I'll let you know how it goes.
Cool. I'm the same, hotels, but I have family right in Greensboro. And so if it happened that I wasn't able to book as fast, I would just stay at my dad's, which is amazing. But people listening, if you don't have a hotel yet, get on it.
Yeah.
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 I went on to Airbnb last night just to check, around, and also those market rental homes that, there's the market rental homes there. It was not plentiful, but so yeah, the travel concierge Ashley just put there, but I was curious where you guys stayed. I think that it's funny. I was doing a little research last night, and one of the designers was like, make time for self-care at the end of the day. And I thought, I'm tired at the end of the day. I'm all talked out. I don't know. I just want to go to bed. What about you guys? What time do you usually end your day?
Oh. Just depends on if there's a social event.
Right.
Sometimes it could be, 9 o'clock, I'm in the hotel room, and then sometimes it's midnight or 1. It just depends. I'm exhausted, but.
What time do you attempt to start your day? Like your first appointments are what?
8:30.
8:30?
8:30. I try to get in as quickly as possible. I want to get in as much as I can.
Same with you, Don?
I'm more like a 9:30 or so, because I'm typically we'll do a later dinner during every night of market. And so 9:30 or so, I'm there finding a showroom with bagels and coffee and then getting started. Yeah.
We'll do, at the end of this, we'll do a few food favorites. Okay. We'll throw
Okay.
out some suggestions.
Mhm.
So in terms of staying organized when you are in the throes, like coming to market, you are, looking for things for clients.
Mhm.
How do you track your time at market for billing clients, or how does that work? Anybody?
You try to track it as best you can.
Right.
Because my clients are paying me to go.
Mhm.
So I do track. I mean, let's be honest, we're all multitasking here, and we're like, oh, that chair will be great for this client. That sideboard, fabulous for that one. It could be all in the same showroom. So so I do the best that I can. I'm very forgiving with my time too. Like I'm not over, I'm kind with the time I'm billing the client, because again, a lot of it is multiple clients, and then you're just really touching, feeling, testing the quality of the product. And if it's new, and I don't know if they're going to be introducing anything new this market, just with the demands of keeping what they're trying to get in that they have, if they're going to do anything new this year to test. But it's just always one of those things. It's a feel, touch, tactile thing, and I just want to sit and see if it's good stuff. So, I mean,
Yeah, you really want to spend time with the product and also spend time with the rep. For me, I told you before, like I'm grabbing a card and I'll take a picture of this card. It tells me what showroom I was in, and then I'm taking pictures of the products
right.
in that showroom. And so when I go back to my iPad or my phone, when that next card comes up, I know, hey, this image was taken in this next showroom. I've taken a picture of that product. I've taken a picture of the numbers that I need to send to the rep. And then I'm able to get everything organized when I get back to the office. And I learned that after, taking tons of photos of pieces and not remembering, where I was. And then now I have this system. And so it works perfectly for me to remember, hey, this is for this client and this is where it's going to be found.
And do you make comments in your notes or in your voice messaging about like, this is a very, like this comes in, this is a very deep sofa, or this was not comfortable, this was the most comfortable, like, how do you remember how your butt feels?
So those details I don't write down. And so it must be, I'm just awesome at remembering it. Right? I don't write that while I'm at market, but it's so important. I mean, if you have people who are looking for a comfy sofa, you can't shop for that online. You have to really get in there and spend time on it, at market. But I will say I am in contact with clients while I'm there. So sometimes I may FaceTime a client and say, hey, I just saw this. It's amazing. I'm sitting on it right now. It's really deep. It's really comfortable. Or I may send them photos and they'll say, hey, let's get on it. And so I'm definitely reaching out to them while I'm there, showing them pieces.
I'm the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Don Ricardo, when you and I spoke and you were talking about the furniture that you designed with Tav, and you said, I said, it's got to be a big bed. Like I've got to fit in it. So, you're a man of a certain size. Christy, you're of a certain size. This comes back to what you said kind of early on. Like, have you ever said to somebody, could you sit in that and see like somebody petite, that you have a petite client or you have a very tall client, like, oh, there you are. Could you just sit in that? And
it reminds me of when I used to shop and a woman would be like, can I hold this shirt up to you? You're the same size as my husband.
Yeah.
No, I get some of those, even if it's not my rep, the older, bigger men, the traditional reps that you see in that you think of High Point Market. I'm like, excuse me, sir, can you just sit in this and tell me if you think this is comfortable? Because it might be a small petite chair, but a big guy is like, hey, this is really comfortable. I can fit in it quite well. The depth, the pitch is the depth of the seat, the pitch is perfect. And then I'll sit in a chair that's kind of big and I'm like, well, my feet dangle, but I'm okay with it as long as I put a lumbar or something like that. But I definitely am not afraid to ask somebody to sit in a chair.
It's a very friendly place, isn't it? High Point
It
Market.
is.
I mean, seriously, I was going again. I was like on Instagram last night, and there was one of the staff. The staff is identified by blue shirts, and you get to like day after day, right? The same men and women that are opening the doors, greeting you. Like you get to know them. It's really nice. Like, right?
Yes, it's awesome. And even at the hotels, like I've always, not always, but most of the time I stay at the Hilton in Greensboro, and the same kitchen staff and the same table waitresses and waiters are there every single year. And they're like, hey, how are you doing? It's so good to see you. Omelet, right? And I'm like, yes, how did you remember that? And they're like, yeah, okay. So it's I love seeing that. It makes it feel like home and a family almost, like you're just kind of coming back home.
Southern hospitality, right?
At its finest.
Yeah, it's good. So, okay. This was something that I was curious as an editor, like who lives in High Point. So you're making your appointments, you're seeing your friends. Do you also depending on what your business goals are, what you're looking forward to, in your own creating for yourselves, do you make appointments with like consultants, or is market a time to meet with people that you might be interested in collaborating with, or brands that you might be interested in working with? Is it a time to seek out some strategy, business strategy? Don, do you want to take that?
Absolutely. I'm making it a point to stop by places, like you said, that I want to build a relationship with. When I was a style spotter, I made it a point to spot products from those vendors. When I was doing the Instagram takeover for High Point Market Authority, it was the same thing. And the way that I was able to get product with Todd Furniture is by meeting that owner and saying, hey, I want a chair. And so I just manifested it, and it came to pass. And so absolutely, if you want to build a relationship with them, you want to collaborate, you've got to stop by there and shake some hands and let them know who you are, right?
And you also, though, right, like there, and yes, there's a way to do it tactfully, right? Or and you're like manifesting it and saying, I want to do a chair, like that's just like bold, right?
Right.
And then there's like, when is it too much, like and when you should follow through afterwards, right? Like sometimes.
Yeah. Not on your first meeting, of course. When I when I met with Bruce from Todd, I had been seeing them market after market and using their product. And so, of course, I had a relationship before I was like, hey, I want a chair from you. But,
Right.
Definitely.
Right. But that's what, the market, to keep cementing these relationships, where, you feel aligned with.
Exactly. And then I will say with that, if it's not even creating a collection with that company, if you get asked to do a show house, for instance, it's great to have those connections, whether the show house gives you the connections or if you already have one with the brand that you use all the time. That's very helpful. Because if you're a designer giving business to one company all the time, they'll know who you are.
Yes.
And then they will help you out. It might, to on a project like that. There's press, the things that they can do for you are amazing. And like when I did Camp Cole, this isn't market, but like a plumbing company that I've worked with, had some connections with, I just reached out and just said, hey, would you mind donating? And they said yes. So the relationship should start first, and then obviously supporting the brand, and then you can really just, that kind of comes into fruition, I guess. Right, Don and Ricardo? Like it
Totally agree with that.
just opens the doors a little bit more. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying for sure. I've done the same thing, like with my social media, just posting the brands, tagging them pieces if I use them, and then they'll repost it. And then when I go in the showroom, they're like, hey, your design incredible. Thank you so much for your support. And
yeah.
So building that relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I look forward, it's for me being in like this Disney for designers place. It's a great way for me to start relationships. It's fabulous. All right. Bringing clients to market. So we've talked about FaceTiming them from market, but have you ever brought a client to market during market? What are your thoughts on that? Christy or Dawn, take it away. No way.
I don't like to.
Because just,
it's overwhelming. When I said for my first market, when I came, I got overwhelmed, right? And I'm familiar with I knew the lines before I came, or, some of them. So, and if once you go, you'll understand when I say a lot of the upholstery over 8 hours and then 20, 24, 48, they all start to kind of look the same a little bit. The lines start to blend. And it's just because you're mental fatigue a little bit. But if we get that way, I can't imagine a client. And I'm one of those designers that I only like to show 3 of something at a time because most get overwhelmed after 3 options. So that being said, it's just overload, and I don't want, and also they hired me to make that decision for them. And I don't need them telling me what they want, what they need, when I can tell them what they need and what will work for them, because they're hired me, we're the professional. So I think that helps. And now I would do like a High Point by Design day, where I can pick and choose 1 or 2 showrooms and say, this is really what we're going to focus on. Here are the pieces. I know exactly what we're looking at. But with Market, it's so many showrooms that I think I can't really pick and choose when they're up there. Because it's such a short amount of time. You only get 5 days and you have to see everything, and then you have to give them the so I just think it kind of.
Well, and Don, I want you to chime in here, because you are now working officially with High Point by Design. But, when you go to Market and you get all these notes, then you can kind of, take your clients to this less crowded and more focused romp through High Point.
Right.
Just for those who don't know High Point by Design, why as a designer would you, why would you go there, and what is available to you?
So before, I would never bring a client. I was just trained but not to shop with clients, right? And during Market, it's super busy. You've got a couple, minutes to sit on the sofa before somebody else needs to sit on it, and you need to get up. Your reps are sometimes rush because they have so many appointments. And so High Point by Design has opened several showrooms throughout the year. And so this just gives me an opportunity to go out first in case that showroom, find the 2 or 3 pieces that I want that client to see, and then bring her in the next day. And, we're talking to the rep. We can both spend time on those pieces. We're not rushed. We don't have the mimosa and everything to give us the goggles, right? And we're really able to select pieces without all the hustle and bustle of Market. And so it's just been a way to add a new service to my business and for clients. And so it's just been awesome throughout the year, not just twice a year during Market. So High Point by Design, it's been great.
Yeah, I think it enhances the experience of,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are there some can't miss events that you would like to discuss, like things that you always try to attend if you can, or something that you've heard of that's coming up? Christy or Don, like for me, I love to go to the Style Spotters breakfast on Tuesday morning. It's a great breakfast, and it's like everybody's there. It's at the IHFC, the top floor of the main wing.
Sure, I've missed that for sure, and we weren't able to do it my Style Spotter year, and so that was one of the first events that I went to. I was there because Erica Ward was a Style Spotter, and I consider her to be kind of a mentor, and so I went, and I went on her tour, and so that's an awesome event. And I'm just hopeful that some of those events will come back soon, because we didn't have them the last 2 times. So Surya's event, Four Hands event,
Yes.
Banks event, all of those things.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Surya and the Four Hands for sure. Those are the fun events. And then sometimes if you're like Modanus, I'm part of Modanus, like when Veronica comes and they'll do like a dinner or something, or an event at a showroom. Those are always fun because it's kind of like a learning, bites and drinks and socialization. So those are always, I look forward to stuff like that. And those are all usually in the evenings.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times you break away with other designers and have dinner and stuff like that. But yeah, the Four Hands and Surya, I would say, are the big ones.
And then the concerts. I remember FaceTiming my mom because the Pointer Sisters were at Market. Do you guys remember that at all? The Pointer Sisters were out.
I don't remember it.
Yeah,
but I know who they are.
Yeah, right in between. I think it was the Pointer Sisters, but right in between,
Showtime and IHFC.
Yep, absolutely. Yes. Showplace and the IHFC.
Showplace, thank you.
Yeah, so I do miss that. So.
Yeah, I didn't ever go to one of the concerts, but I love walking around Market and hearing that, like even if I'm not going, in terms of, I always look at the schedule of events. Like I always go to the website and I look at under events and I write things down, and those are the advertised things. And some of the parties, like the Four Hands party, I've never been to. You probably, I don't know, I think isn't it invite only? Like there's certain things that you,
I don't know if it is. It might be.
Maybe.
I've heard things about it, but I haven't been. But Style Spotters, they're let's just talk a little bit about some places that we regularly like. I like to go. I've always loved to go to Theodore Alexander on a Friday late afternoon. They always have a good cocktail thing, and then they have a dinner, and they've done fundraising before. That's one of mine. Your turn, Don, Ricardo, or Christy. What's one of your favorite, like one other thing, or favorite place for lunch or breakfast?
The Theodore Alexander dinner is really good. I've done that before. I do plan my showroom sometimes around the meal because you got to know who has a good meal.
It's smart. You have to eat to keep up your energy.
Absolutely.
Yes. Charles has lunch. I don't know if y'all have been in there for lunch.
Wait, you cut
Did I freeze
out.
out?
Say it again.
Oh, Jonathan Charles has a very good lunch. And so does Vanguard. They usually have a good lunch. And so does Modern History.
Mhm. Alex always has a really amazing local catered lunch, and I always love their stuff. And then Bassett Mirror Company, the same thing. They always have something really good from a local catering company, and it's always good.
I'll say I've always liked the Sunpan. They have a very good wine selection. I was just at the Gabby showroom, and I saw they had cans of butter Chardonnay, which is like one of my favorite. So there are. It's always a good suggestion to take like some nuts in your purse but they give out water at market.
Mhm.
Almost, look, times have changed, right? I mean, we have seen market where there has been no food,
Right.
and who knows what is happening, what next, what tomorrow brings. But for the most part, the showrooms are very generous in their hospitality. Curry and Company, I mean,
Right.
Oh, they have a good one.
libations, right?
Yes, they have a good one. People love Eastern accents. Sangria.
Well, I was gonna say Curry's sangria is really
Yeah.
good.
Theirs is good too. Yes. And
Yeah.
I like Hancock more because they have good candy.
Oh,
They have York peppermint patties. I don't know why. Only there.
I was
well,
gonna
you
say
get the
Left
chocolate
Bank
and the
Arts,
mint. Yeah.
Left Bank Arts French Martini, and then Phillips Collection with the moonshine shots. But I want.
Yeah, and a lot of these hospitality driven events, happen from like 4 to 7, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday, they used to have in the North Hamilton Wren district. That was sort of a day of Hamilton Wren. Another great place that is off the beaten track. And we're going to take some Q&As in a second, is Cohab for, outdoor and food trucks. So there's a lot, do not worry about food. So I'm going to take some questions now. All right. One is to you two. Can you make recommendations on vendors to visit that sell globally influenced furnishings, very organic yet refined? That's one question. So.
Gala Trading.
And
Mhm.
Gala.
Yeah,
love
and Gala. And that's NGALA, by the way.
Accent Touch. This beautiful Juju Pat behind me. She's in the suites at Market Square. I love her pieces. Roberta Schilling. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, and her stuff is always gone. If you don't go early, you'll see a ton of tags that say sold. So those are some of my favorites.
If you're wanting like mass produced, Studio A has some really pretty things. Oli sometimes will have Oli Studio,
Mhm.
and then there's maybe it is Roberta Schillings I'm thinking of. Is her showroom off the beaten path?
No,
no,
she's-
she's in IHFC.
No, I'm thinking of
Texture?
Texture. Yes,
Mhm.
people love Texture for some. like organic, like the wooden pieces. And then there was there's one other, now I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, if I think of it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, if anything else comes up for me, there are new vendors all the time, of course, right?
Yes.
Like, that are so fun to discover. Like I find, do you allot time for just discovery, like to breeze through Market Square, just zigzags, like, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
And
That's my favorite.
talk a little bit more about that, like what that is.
Just, I bring a little cart thing and just breeze. I pick one direction and go up and down the aisles. And sometimes you just find some of the best stuff, like from art to pillows, bedding. I mean, the books, the guy that has the books, the antique books, and they have the names down the spine, or some aren't, they're actual just
Lawrence.
Lawrence, yes. I have
Yeah.
some books in my office right now. Those are great. I think Wendy O'Connor has her art in there a lot of times, and one of a kinds, and then they'll have some prints that you can buy too. It's just fun to discover new things. And then you go upstairs and they have some newer things up there too, in the suites at Market Square. What about you, Don Ricardo?
Same thing. When I'm in the suites, I'm buying. And so it's Saddlemen's with cowhide rugs. And
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Touch with her stuff. So for sure, I love doing that.
Yeah, and Inner Hall, of course, too. I mean,
Yes.
always new vendors. Those are just concentrated areas where it's one booth after the other.
Right.
Question, first time at High Point, which district would you recommend to go first?
Nordic IHFC, right?
Well, I guess it depends on what you're looking for, maybe. I think some people can find IHFC a little overwhelming and hard to navigate because of all the different
Wings.
wings, because you have Commerce and Hamilton. So I would say you could start with either Hamilton, Wren, and Steel, the Steel building, because those are like upholstery and case goods, if that's really what you're going for. But if you are looking for mainly accessories and furniture, IHFC or Suites at Market Square, to be honest.
Because
Yeah.
I think in those buildings, you're going to get some of everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I want to I realized I forgot, food wise, Universal is a great source for breakfast and lunch and cocktails, and they have a very good bathroom, also important. So just saying, it's clean, they have mouthwash, and it's good. Here's another question. Ready? I like this. My niche is new construction. I'm new to ordering furniture for projects. What would you say are important questions to ask of vendors before setting up an account and purchasing from them?
What does stock look like?
Yes.
Ask about stock. If you are doing luxury new construction like I am, that means people are moving in and they have not brought any furniture from their old house, which means that they have been sitting on lawn chairs and air mattresses for however long. So you want to get some stuff that's in stock, right? So that's one of the first questions. Hey, when could I expect this product?
That I always like to ask the construction of the upholstery, 8-way hand tied, the cushions, because each cushion is different. A lot of upholstery, good high-end quality upholstery companies have 4 different types of cushions, all depending on the level of, you could have someone with allergies, so you have to do all foam, or, to like spring down combo with foam. There's a lot with that. And then also construction of the case goods, like how are the drawers built? What are the glides that y'all use? I mean, a lot of us now are asking, are they made in America?
Right.
I mean, that's really made a big turn, and now it seems it's becoming even more of a big deal. I was talking to a rep, and she said containers are costing, 300% more than what they were when they were shipping just for case good frames from like Vietnam. And now they're going to start making them in America again because it's less than shipping the container in. So, great for us, in a way, but for America, but a lot of clients do like American made furniture.
Right.
So,
Containers have gone up from maybe about 3,000 to 17K.
no, they went up more, 30,000.
That's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yep.
Also, I mean, the Sustainable Furnishings Council is always a wonderful resource. And, Susan Inglis, it's like, what is it made of?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're, so it's like, who is your client, and what is is green a consideration? Is, their allergies,
Right.
is it
And
healthy?
what I found very interesting, and I've told a few clients in the past that I had to, like, sometimes you just have to educate clients because they don't know the difference in quality of furniture, right?
Right.
And I also had to educate my husband, let's be honest. It's interesting when you go into a big box furniture store that's just off the street. When you walk in, you smell that formaldehyde smell. It smells like but when you go into High Point, I do want to point this out. When you go into some of these showrooms, you don't smell that smell at all. And let's be honest, there's a lot of furniture in these showrooms. Like, you don't smell that smell at all.
Mhm.
Like, if you go into Vanguard, you go into Highland House, there's not that headache smell. And I love that. I love that I know that I'm bringing quality pieces to my client.
Yes, the smell is important. I'm gonna just say one thing. At our designer experience upcoming, we have our keynote is from the Healthy Materials Lab at Parsons, talking about healthy furniture. So it's going to be very insightful, and they have a great website. So
I'll have to check that out.
Here is another, this is related, I have a couple of clients that want organic fabrics. Who do you recommend? I mean, off the top of my head, I would of course say Varellin.
Yeah.
But I think that, there are a lot of companies using better fabrics. Bernhardt has lovely.
Yeah,
fabrics.
there are some good fabrics.
I love that stuff.
I'm trying to think of I do try to go into those fabric showrooms. There's a few at High Point, by the way. But it's
Norwalk. I mean, and everybody there's a lot of linen, right? There's
Yeah.
a lot of beautiful linen at market.
Liebco, it shows there. They're Belgian linen. That's a bedding company. And I think you can order their fabrics. Isn't it Liebco?
You can't use it is Libico, but they have like a product line, but you can't order their by the yard.
Oh, okay.
Them
It's just
directly.
bedding.
They work with manufacturers,
Got it.
But I would also suggest for Dawn, who asked that question, to check out Showtime, ITA, International Textile Lines Showtime, which is also in High Point. It's a good place to sort of start. This is an interesting question. I am the owner of a freight brokerage interested in marketing to manufacturers and vendors. Any suggestions on what types of events I should choose? Will vendors be open to setting an appointment with me during market?
I don't know about that.
If you're solving a pain point, and I mean, people are, there's a lot of pain points that anybody's dealing with shipping. So I would say, make contact, but, and follow up after market, kind of like, ask them, I mean, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking about helping get things shipped out. You should have been reaching out months ago so that after market we can get the stuff right.
You might want to reach out to designers too, to be honest. I know some designers are renting U-Hauls and grabbing it from some of the furniture manufacturers, just because getting with freight carriers has been a pain in the butt to get it from,
Mhm.
So I'm not really sure about the answer to that one.
Right. Yeah, it's a little, but I think those are some good suggestions, and it's always worth coming to market and getting a feel for, what's going on. What are credentials that you need to have as a newbie to enter into market? Didn't you, Don Ricardo, didn't your friend have that issue with getting into market?
Right.
Do you have to order? Well, if you would like to answer that first, what must you have?
So you have to have a copy of your business license and a business card or something like that. I think there are two forms. It's the business license and a business card.
I think that's right.
And go ahead and pre-register. Market registration is open. And so go ahead and do that now, because we did learn that if you do it on site this time, there's going to be a fee for it. So go ahead and register. I know Ashley's listening, and so the link will pop up soon, right?
Definitely. They're typing that. Yeah, pre-register, guys, pre-register. That
It's
is
so easy.
the best.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. And then if you don't have something, they'll just tell you what you need, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I register, with all my credentials over and over again. This is,
And once you do it one time, like
It saves it.
once you do it one time, they've been sending me emails, hey, here's the link, here's your password, and you just click. So they'll email you the next market and say, hey, market is registration is open.
right. Once you're on the list, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Mhm.
Brad Kleinard writes, has anyone heard about expected turnout for fall market? The energy was so amazing at June. So true, so true. But now safety concerns coming back around. I don't really, I think Ashley would be the best to, talk about that. I mean, my plans are still, there's Ashley.
There's
Come
actually
in here.
came up like Mary Poppins.
Oh, sorry. I was in the background in the chat. These are great questions. I'm happy to address that one, Jane. I will
Great.
say that the good news is we have been very fortunate to work very closely with the health experts here in North Carolina. Of course, we're following all the guidelines from them and from the CDC. We have a lot of confidence going into fall market because in this pandemic, we've already executed 2 markets. So you think about where we were last fall and we were able to safely pull off a market. And so we feel like we will be able to do that again. That may come with certain safety restrictions in place. Right now, the only thing in place in Guilford County is there's a mask mandate. It just started this past Friday. So if that's in place come October, then let's put our masks on and get here to market. The exhibitors have done this before. So if, some restrictions come into place, like they need to reduce some capacity in the showrooms, put some social distancing stickers still out. The attitude that we're hearing is we know how to do this now. Let's do it so business can continue.
Great.
And if that's the case, then I would highly recommend making appointments
Absolutely.
because
Yeah,
you might
that
not be
was a
able to get it.
recommendation. Pre-COVID, that was a recommendation. But yeah, there was certainly during when there were safety restrictions in place, it was even more important.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that October market, I just felt very safe. It was an opportunity for designers to use some fabric remnants and create some beautiful masks. And so you just saw some really creative things, socially distanced. There was a check-in point where they were taking temperatures and, I thought it was a good market. It wasn't crowded. I got a lot of work done and I felt like it was a good market. So I appreciate High Point for that one, for sure.
And I think the market is really great at getting news out and, and of course we at Designers Today try and put your news, amplify it out there too. So, whatever's going on at market, check High Point Market's website and Designers Today, of course, and
Yes.
everybody's Instagram.
Right.
Yeah. I think we've answered a lot of the questions. Is there anything that I forgot to ask that is so crucial, Ashley, or, Christy or Dawn, anything?
Just wear comfortable shoes.
Oh, yeah.
You can get cute ones, but wear comfortable ones. And sometimes you have to wear 2 pairs. So
I think at market in June, it was like, different, tennies and sneakers and track shoes. That was what everybody was wearing, at least a lot of the women.
yeah, I tend to wear men loafers. They're really comfortable.
Really?
Well, they look like man shoes. They're, but they're women's shoes, but they're very comfortable. Like a little pulley cart if you feel so inclined to drop your pickups from
Mhm.
showrooms and fabric swatches. If you take some with you and put those in there, and if you have an extra pair of shoes, you can stick them in there. Hold your water bottle, makeup, refresher. Don Ricardo doesn't need to worry about that, but that kind of stuff.
Not bad to just like put some Advil in your purse because there's
Yes.
really no like CVS downtown. I think also, again, just a few snacks always
Mhm.
help, and dress for the day, really.
Yes,
Maybe
there's no
layer-
changing.
Right. Remember the resources. Remember the My Market app. There's something out there, the Cool Girls Guide to High Point Market. I did some contributing to that this time. So I was the first gentleman in the Cool Girls Guide. And so
Nice.
it's an awesome little publication where she talks about some of the hottest events that are going on, some of what the showrooms are doing. And so I thought that's a really, have you heard of it, Christy?
I have. It's actually,
Okay,
I've read
good.
it. It's great. It's a good, I've read them in the past markets. They're great.
So that's a cool resource to use along with the My Market app.
Ashley, just how are the tours doing for market? Are they filled up, or can you talk about the tours?
So tours are coming back with events. Check the event schedule. I did drop that in the chat earlier. What is not yet on the website, because we're waiting for them to make their final selections, is our Style Spotters tours. Those are coming back. So we'll have those. They're called Hotspot tours. They're going to be Saturday through Tuesday of market. And that's a great opportunity to have a style spotter walk you through two of their favorite showrooms. I'm also hearing other groups that are putting tours together. And so those go straight onto the event calendar. Some of them do require an RSVP like ours. IMC, I believe, is doing their Sweets at Market Square, their Sweet Spot tours. Those would be on the calendar as well and require an RSVP. And then sometimes we even have outside associations, like some of the ASID chapters have done tours and stuff. Check the calendar for all that.
Hidden Luxury Tour. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And of course, like, again, I mean, I try and cover it. But you know, there's so much. There is so much.
Okay.
Well, and there's also, is there hospitality at market this time around as well?
Yes, if you are involved at all, a lot of people, obviously our main bread and butter here at this market is the residential furnishings, but because High Point showrooms are so large, they carry their hospitality product lines here as well in the showroom. So we have a whole program called Hospitality at Market, specifically geared towards showing you those vendors that have those products here. So if you go to highpointmarket.org/hospitality, you can learn more about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've covered it.
It's a lot. You
I
guys
mean,
did a great
there's always
job.
more, right?
Yes, there is always more. There's lots on the website. Please, if you get the emails, read them. Watch our social. High Point Market is out there. And of course, reach out with, info@highpointmarket.org. Call us at 336-889-1000. We're happy to answer your questions. And then there's always these wonderful mentors like Christy and Don Ricardo, who are happy to answer questions as well. And Jane, you do such a great job showing people around, and we certainly appreciate all of you. We call you, of course, the High Point Market family. So we appreciate you.
Oh, we love it. Yay. Can't wait. Countdown.
Yes, I know it. I think
Yeah.
with that, we'll go ahead and sign off here. This is being recorded. If you want to watch it again or send it to anybody else, we're going to put it up on our YouTube page, youtube.com/highpointmarket. Thank you again to all of you for the insights. And we hope everybody will just take the next step and get registered. And so we can see you October 16th through the 20th. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you all.
Peace out.